Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 213. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gantuṁ vṛndāvanaṁ prātar. Ājñārthaṁ purataḥ prabhoḥ. Gataḥ śrīman-mukhaṁ paśyan. Sarvaṁ vismarāmy. Early in the morning, I went before Lord Jagannātha to ask his permission to leave Vṛndāvana. But when I saw his beautiful face, I forgot all my plans. Gopkumar reasoned like this: the Lord of the universe, for whose sake I left Vrajabhumi, I've obtained directly here. How is it right for me to abandon him? And how can I find the power to do such a thing? And even if the same Lord wants to bring me back to his favorite playground, Vṛndāvana, to show me some special mercy, I still cannot go away from here without first getting his express permission. But when Kumara went before Lord Jagannātha in the temple, as soon as he saw the Lord's divine face, he forgot everything. His mental pain, the remembrance of Vṛndāvana that caused the pain, and his attention to ask the Lord's permission to go. The pattern occurred day after day. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from New Jersey. Excited for the New York Rath Yatra Festival, and still marveling that 50 years ago, when people were being deprogrammed, somehow the devotees went and they got permission from the, I don't know, whatever government official to have that parade down Fifth Avenue. He didn't know there'd be such big carts. And we used to have the whole street all the way from Central Park. Now you have half the street from 34th Street or 42nd, whatever it is. But whatever that is, it's an amazing, amazing thing. And of course, each year there's more and more devotees. So it's quite a spectacular gathering. Yeah, and just to think of the glory of Srila Prabhupada, the triumph, that's less than 10 years of being in the country, and gets a parade down Fifth Avenue. And then, of course, the touching scene of Jayananda with that blazer, yellow, kind of jacket, dying of cancer, but fulfilling his wish. And I was there with Prabhupada when he came back to Vṛndāvana to leave the world. He went out one more time, but he was really sick. And he came to leave the world, and he was, in his mind, he kept on remembering Jayananda, how he helped me so much. he gave $5,000 donation for the printing of Nectar of Devotion at the beginning, which was a huge donation for the Hare Krishna movement. And he was older. He didn't look like, like kind of a hippie person. Very impressive. I saw him when I first came to Krishna consciousness. Extremely saintly person. And I guess they got the benediction of leaving before Prabhupada did to be with him in that sense, for sure. So real to walk there is to just share in the glory of Prabhupada. Wonderful. And I'm going to remember that when I'm at the parade. Of course, there's so many things to do, but I just meet all the people that's perhaps the only time I'll get to see them. And if any of you there just want to stop and say hello, I will have my phone and you can send me a text message and we can stop and say hello. Just interesting, I was listening to this evolutionary biologist his name is Brett Weinstein, and he has a lot of integrity, Oh, he was involved in opposing some of the misconceptions that were being imposed on people about COVID. And as a scientist, he got a lot of flack for that. But so it was an interview, and he has so much authority because he has so much integrity, and he was explaining how that evolution is a science, and everything can be explained by evolution. But he's different from the other scientists because he feels that belief in God is an essential part of evolution to keep the species going. So he's actually very for religion, although he doesn't believe in a creator. And then the person interviewing him just kept asking him kind of questions about, how do you explain this? How do you explain this? And he would have to explain it in kind of evolutionary terms. How do you explain that people don't seem to be evolving now? They seem to be becoming degraded, And then he explained, well, the genes, and then it's a cultural evolution now, and he explains the war in the Middle East and everything. But the amazing thing is, and he's an honest guy, he just can't explain how something comes from nothing. I think Borijan said, I love that he said that, it's so fantastic that the universe has come from the pores of Mahavishnu, but it's even more fantastic that it comes from nothing. And then, because things that go by chance seem to become chaotic, so how do they explain that things become orderly by chance? Well, they say because, I don't know, some multiverse theory of the universe, that there's so many unlimited universe, there's just the one that moves by chance that works. So that's something. But it's just interesting because the person, he was just listening very carefully to this person. And he was a theist. But he was listening, and he accepted evolution. But he said, well, even that complexity that you're describing, it seems that God is the best explanation for it. And you can see the guy trying to fit everything into his worldview and talking into his worldview, but he really couldn't make it seem like it's a better explanation than God. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And oh, I don't know if I can. Yeah. And I got an idea from that, from maybe a Monday morning greetings, because they were talking about one thing. He said, there's a systematic attack on nuance. There's a discussion to had how two extreme fringes agree to drive out the nuance discussion and force you to pick a team. They're all forcing you to pick a team. And he said, the low quality thought is, I'm going to listen to this person says, and if it agrees with I say, I'm going to embrace it. And if it does, I'm going to assume it's on the other side. And you can never have a conversation in the middle because both sides see you as the enemy. So it's so polarized. And I'm not talking just politics. I'm talking about the issues in ISKCON, whether, should women be guru, women not be guru. I personally believe that it seems obvious to me that they should, but there's an argument on the other side also. But it's the way the world works. So I'm thinking of writing something, and I wrote something like that before called Idiots and Ideologues. How people start with their conclusions and then reason, rather than reason and come to conclusions. And when you start with your conclusion and then reason, it's likely that the reason you do that is psychological. You're attached to your conclusions. If either it's your identity or whatever. And the real Vedic thing is Vada. We have discussions to find the truth, not to win. And I thought that's an interesting thought I had, that the world is against nuance. And a lot of the issues have nuance. A lot of the issues have nuance, but people want you to be, if you're not on your team, you're on the other team. But you may not be on the other team. You may not be necessarily so interested in the subject. You may just be asking questions to figure it out before you come to a conclusion. But and I kind of like Prabhupada too. And with Bhakti Siddhanta came to him, Prabhupada, unless we're free, we can't, who will listen to us? And Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is so important. We can't, wait for, political change. You have to be careful not to forget what really makes a difference, which is not so much a change of government, but a change of consciousness. Otherwise, you generally wind up with the same thing. Now, you can have a side and reason that one side is better for the objective of humanity, which is developing consciousness, But what your conclusion is may be a little bit nuanced, And if you do that, you wind up taking extreme positions just because they're on your team. And then people one side or the other. So anyway, that's kind of my mood as taking some type of service a little bit as a public intellectual, tackling issues. I just, it's 16 rounds where I really was on the touchy. Is 16 rounds a principle or a detail? And it's touchy because, there's one side that it's this and one side that, and if you touch in the middle, they put you on the other side. People, yeah, it's just polarized. It's just polarized. anyway, those are just some of my thoughts, and now we'll go to what we are, and we're going to go finish today this chapter. And for the group with me, I consider it a great accomplishment that we've been together and we've been studying, and this is a great book. I got at least 3 different classes on this same subject, so sometimes I forget even where we are. But okay, let's bring us up to where we are. So okay, it's Gopakumar, and we know this is the story that's also going to follow the Bhagavatam, because this is all the summary of the Bhagavatam, and it's the objective is Swabhakti Swayam. Is this high consciousness. It's this high consciousness, and giving you a frame of reference to understand it, and that's Bhagavatam. So the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, which is a summary given by Maharaj Parikshit to his mother at the end of life, tells the Bhagavatam story, not in the same form we heard it, but in terms of first Narada Muni traversing the different levels of bhakti through the different personalities he's meeting, looking for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, ultimately pointing to Srimati Radharani and the gopis. Now the same story will be told in another way, going to different places, which are the manifestation of that bhakti, to ultimately to wind up in Goloka Vṛndāvana, which is the manifestation of the support and facility for the highest bhakti. And the other theme that goes through this is Gopakumar, who has the mantra, which Sabandha Visesh Gyan, Bhagavat Sarup Gyan, which is in seed, his lineage, his heart's lineage, is Braj. So that's his ultimate satisfaction, but he doesn't really have knowledge, and therefore his path there can get sidetracked. But the taste will carry you there, because you won't be satisfied anyplace else. Although, because he's dealing in the realm of bhakti, and now Jagannath, he becomes satisfied and forgets everything. But then when he remembers Braj, he becomes dissatisfied, because that's his ultimate, that's what his mantra is giving him. So anyway, somehow he winds up in Puri, and the Puri king dies, and then the minister consult Jagannath. They have a connection with Jagannath, the priest and the minister, and somehow, we'll go into details, Gopakumar becomes the king. And it doesn't suit his bhakti, because sarvaṁ vismarāmy, it puts him in a certain place that socially restricts him from moving spontaneously. Because you have the king, you're a certain protocol, just like you see the president and that, they have a certain protocol. They have to behave, but this is not suitable to Braja Bhakti, which is spontaneous devotion. But anyway, Gopakumar, he improves the festivals, and then he saints to come to Puri, and they're chanting and dancing, and he's so pious, he offers the kingdom to Jagannath. So, and but still, he's not one of the Brahmin priests who have that intimate association. And when you advance in devotion, you want to be with God. Who wouldn't want to be on the altar of Jagannath? If you're a Jagannatha, who do you want to see him? So he kind of develops a spiritual jealousy. It's not from so much a false ego, but I'd like to serve as they're serving. And he sees, but even when they're standing still, it's such an intimate relationship. The deity, when the deity is standing still, and he wanted to join those special pastimes of Jagannath. They have so many services, and it actually caused him a lot of anxiety. I want to be more intimate. And especially when he heard them doing Nam Sankirtan, and they're chanting, and they're chanting, such beautiful kirtans, and within the kirtans, because Jagannatha is Krishna, Jagannātha Swami Nayana Patakami Bhava Tume. So, but anyway, every time he would take darshan, and this goes on, his anxiety, he didn't want to go anyplace because he was still getting something. But whenever remembrance would come, what he could get, which is Braj, then he became dissatisfied. And I gave the example, there's a South Indian temple here, and I like it. It's got all the, and there's some Krishna deities. It's a beautiful temple. And it's quite like 4 or 5 acres, the place, I think. I like to go see Guru Vayar Krishna, there's reverence, it's something. But if I was confined to there, and I knew I couldn't go to Braj, some anxiety would come. And but then even when he becomes dissatisfied, nothing with the Stephen, he's ruling the kingdom. And the protocol and going to the Rath Yatra, with the rum bum bum, here comes the king, and it's he wants to be more spontaneous and dance. So finally, he basically abdicates the throne. He can't take it anymore, and he lives nearby, and the thing, and he's happily chanting. But it's kind of like, it doesn't matter if you retire, right? If you're Bob Dylan, or you're some big person in the world, or maybe Obama, or whatever it is, it's still, they treat him with respect, and therefore he has to respond to receive that respect, which means he has to cover his spontaneous nature, which is coming more and more out. So now he wanted to leave. So he goes before the deity to ask permission to leave. But when he sees his face, he forgets it. And this keeps on going on and on and on. That there's something very beautiful about God, but there's something more beautiful about God when he takes down his guard and reveals his Navanirada Nindita Kanti Param Rasa Sagara Nagara Bhupa Param Shubhavanki Macharusi Kanda Sikam Braja Krishna Nidim Braja Vrajasutam Evam samvatsare jate maya tatraikada shutam mataraya prayatebhyo tratya brittam visheshata. Thus 1 year passed, and then one day I heard some detailed news of Mathura, from visitors who had come from there. And what did he hear? The purport describes the cows, the cowherds, the birds, the forest animals, the residents, the neighborhoods, Vṛndāvana, Jamuna, Govardhan. Even when I say this, I know many of you are now hankering. When will that day be mine? When I go. And it's so nice, we're organizing, we did that nice fundraiser to serve that very wonderful devotee, Murti. So I'm really excited. We just bought her tickets, and she'll come to the Govardhan Eco Village, and then she'll spend like 10 days in Mayapur, and then 10 days in Puri, then 10 days in Vṛndāvana, or something like that, or maybe 8 days in each. How wonderful. How wonderful. Shoka dukkha taram ratrau shayanam mahaprabhu idam agyapayamasha paradukena katara. That night, as I was lying in bed, tormented by sorrow and pain, the Supreme Lord Jagannātha, who is pained by the suffering of others, gave me the following command. Wow. Dukkena kata, who's distressed by suffering. Can God be distressed by suffering? But anyway, Vairagya yug bhakti rasam prayatnaya paya mamana bipsamandam kripamburiya paraduka duki sanatanastham prabhum asrayami. Paraduka duki, no suffering, but suffering for others. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koramora. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koramore. Patita Pavana Hetu. How can I fit that simple song? But Daya Moy, he's full of compassion. Compassion means you suffer for others. You suffer for others. You have compassion. So this is his devotee. So this is the other theme. Two things are carrying him forward. His mantra, which he's chanting innocently, but with sincerity, and God hearing his mantra and facilitating his journey. And that's also applicable to us. I mean, the story of the wives of the Brahmins, they never met Krishna, but Krishna heard them because when they were selling, when the Brahmin women were going to buy flowers and milk from the gopis, and they heard, you know what, Krishna, and you know what, Krishna, and they're listening, they're constantly talking by Krishna, until by hearing that, the Krishna-katha became the ornaments to their ears. So Krishna hears that. Krishna hears our heart and reciprocates, and our separation from Krishna is just our lack of desire. And it's not an absolute, because sometimes you have a lot of desire and he separates you to increase the desire, but ultimately he's hearing and moving the world around. The whole world is moving around us. I'm preparing this seminar on gratitude, and the basic principle of gratitude is that the universe is friendly. If you don't understand that the universe is friendly, you can't live in a state of gratitude, because your goal will be controlling and enjoying it. And how can you be grateful? Because it's antithetical to our constitution, and you can never achieve it. And therefore, from that comes so much hate, because then you start, if you have gratitude, you don't have to compare yourself to others, because you got just as much as they do, which is the God reciprocating for you in this world. It's really a theistic kind of question, but it doesn't have to be defined by a particular deity. but just a general understanding of the universe, the whole law of karma actually works that way, that the whole world is moving around us to, as our teacher. The world is our teacher. Sometimes the teacher makes you study. You can be, why is the teacher making me study? Or realize, wow, I'm being educated. So you can always look at two things in different ways. So happiness is not the things that work around you, it's your opinion of them. And having the right opinion, that the world is friendly. No matter how difficult our suffering is, there's some reason. There's some reason which is bringing us to a higher platform. And when you live in that state of being, a lot of wonderful things happen. I'm going to be writing on that this week because I'm going to Colombia, and that's going to be my main lecture. And I want it to be a home run because it's so important for me to establish myself there. So I'm really kind of working on it. So I'll write it, but it's so great. And I got this great, you have to shut the, how often do they do this on this?
Once a week.
Okay. And I have this great scientific analogy that's going to be the basis of it, which is the way an oyster creates pearls by the wound it gets. An irritant comes into the shell, and the covering of it is the pearl. I think there's one pearl that's like 600 pounds, the biggest pearl in the world. Boy, did that pearl suffer. Would you mind choosing some other pearl next time? But the wounds become the pearls. So you have to understand that in this world. The wounds become the pearls. It's God wanting to give us something. And when you live that way, it creates a fulfilling life. Enjoying and controlling, it's never fulfilling because it raises the threshold, the threshold of happiness in the brain so high. I will be happy when I control and enjoy the world. Then when you get everything, then this happens. When you get this happens. It never stays that way. But when your level of your threshold for happiness is feeling love, and you're in the world, it's a whole other platform. I'm right. I got really good reasons. Really good reasons. Anyway. Jagannath, Bo Gopanandana Kshetram Idam Mamayata Priyam Tatashi Mataratasau Janma Bhume Visheshita. As dear as this holy city is to me, O son of a cowherd, my birthplace, Sri Mathura, is even more dear. So Jagannath's telling him, and he's calling him Gopanandana, that it was befitting for him to live in Brajabhumi. It's befitting for him to live in Brajabhumi. So Krishna is reciprocating. Balyali las tatalibis tabis tabir alankrita nivasami yataraham tatata tapi vibramam. Mathura is absorbed with the various sights of my childhood pastimes. Just as I live always here in Puri, wandering about everywhere, so do I do in Mathura. Purport, Mathura is even more dear to the personality of God than Purushottama Kshetra, because in Mathura he displays his birth and childhood pastimes. Childhood technically means the years before maturity, which are divided into the three phases called Kaumara, Poganda, and Kishora. Many scriptural statements describe human life as passing through birth, youth, and old age. For example, quote, every creature is born, is then a child, then a youth, and if his life is not interrupted prematurely, he daily approaches old age. Gop Kumar might object that here in Puri, the Lord is visible, whereas in Mathura he's not. But Lord Jagannātha here answers that he certainly lives in Mathura, wandering about and enjoying his devotees. Sadadola yamanatma gatam tat anuptapyase tatraiva gacchakale mam tadrupam drakshyasi dhruvam. Why constantly lament, wavering between one decision and another? Just go to Mathura, and in time you will surely see me in this form you desire. Purport: the form of the Lord that Gop Kumar cherishes in his meditation is that of Madan Gopal Dev. Lord Jagannātha assures Gop Kumar, you will see me in that form at the proper time in Mathura. Thereafter you will never again suffer sorrow or discontent. So it's not that we want to see God, or we want to see a person, we want to see a person in our relationship with him. And one has a loving mother, or let's say the mother is like a president of a country, or father's a president of a country. So let's say a mother, and she has a big office position, and she's CEO, and you're in the office, and okay, you want to be with her, but you want to be with her when she can be motherly. So you want to be with God when he can reciprocate with you in your own relationship. And that's one of the themes, that's what somehow or other we're put in a situation where our nature conforms and is attracted by Krishna. It has something to do with who we are. And the goal of life is to develop that so we can serve Krishna, because that's Krishna's pleasure. But when it says wavering between one decision and another, that's the mental plane. And the mental plane generally is a calculation where I get more pleasure. And it's so important for us that sometimes we're paralyzed. Should I go here? Should I go here? Should I do this? Should I do that? The mental plane. Mano rite dasati bhavato dehi. It's the mental plane. Krishna comes off the mental plane because you can serve Krishna everywhere. So those decisions it's mostly for sense gratifying that you vacillate so much this place or that. Because if there's a little difference, just choose, it doesn't matter. That's funny stuff. When I first joined Krishna consciousness, there was a transgender man in the temple. He used the men's bathroom. He was a transgender man, a very nice person. I met him 20 years later in Vṛndāvana. He was like a professor. He legitimately had gender dysphoria. And someone brought it to Prabhupada, or brought that question to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's answer was very simple. Let him choose one and serve Krishna. Make just choose one and serve Krishna. But, choose one. Okay, I want to celebrate with all the devotees here that we're finishing another chapter. I guess we have a couple more years for this, because we still have to finish this book and that, but we're moving pretty quickly. And I don't want to leave the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta because it's the perfect book for me to speak on. Agyamalam pratadaya puja vipravaseme samagatya datam kante badva prashita vriksha chakram nadva tapto mataram deshametam. Early that morning at my residence, I received a flower garland from some pujari brahmanas, indicating the Lord's command. I placed the garland on my neck and departed, bowing down to the chakra on top of the temple as I saw it for the last time. And in that way, I came to this land of Mathura. Just in case Gopkumar might judge his dream false, Lord Jagannātha sent a garland from his morning puja as a sign of his approval. This confirmed that the Lord wanted him to go to Mathura. Lord Jagannātha appeared on earth mainly to display his pastimes of accepting formal worship in his temple, and his Brahma pujaris shared in this pastime. The Lord ordered his pujaris to take the garland off his neck and bring it to Gopkumar. Rather than go to the temple to see the Lord's lotus face, Gopkumar left at once for Mathura. Thus ends the first chapter of part 2 of Srila Sanatana Goswami's Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta called Vairagya Renunciation. Now I'm going to share something very intimate with the group about the garland. I once got a garland off the deities in benediction. But I'll tell you the story is, I was in Dallas and one day, it was a school, so you had those offices with the glass, and there's a letter, and Prabhupada said, I'm closing the school, send people to India. So like a tumbleweed, all of a sudden, I'm going to India. Had no conception other than I was so dedicated to serving, teaching, and it was like life and soul. So all of a sudden, I was going to India. And so I had to go. I was on my own now. How do I get to India? So the library party came by. That was Bhakti Swami, Mahabhuti, a few people. And I got a ride with them. And I remember Bhakti Swami. He would get up at 2 a.m. and it was a campground. He'd be chanting a lot of rounds outside the bathroom. He was very determined. And somehow I made it to New York. So then what I had to do, I had to go on Sankirtan to collect. I didn't know how to do that. So I did different things. And one person, I didn't know, they taught me a technique. You go and you hold the magazine or something. You say, free, free, free. And then when they grab it, then you tell them, no, I said 3. It was like, I had no idea what I was doing. So one person grabbed the magazine and I grabbed the magazine. He kept on grabbing it. He said, you said 3, I said 3. And I wound up in the police station. So I was like so frustrated when I got back, because I really wanted to go to Vṛndāvana. And I was in the temple before Radha Govinda and the curtains were closed. My eyes were closed. I was praying and I hear a plop and I open my eyes and I see the garland of the deities. And I never saw who gave it. But I guess that was auspicious. If I knew now what I knew then, if I knew then what I knew now, I don't know if I would have underwent some of the things that I had to some of the things we had to undergo. Krishna I don't know if it was Yogamaya, but he blinded us with this faith that, there's nothing we wouldn't do. There's no sacrifice we wouldn't make. But I don't think I'd do it again. I don't think I would do it again. I know too much now to be, But, oh my God. And one great, making announcements on the subways. Crazy announcements, because the subways, you can go from one car to another. So you got maximum, I am Rupa Goswami from the 6 so whatever, I don't know. And then you go around and you collect money. It's I don't know, we could do that again. But looking back, it's all gratitude. All came to us for us. Okay, Jamuna Jaya, back, world traveler, back from Peru, spending a few days with her husband.
Yes, Raj.
and back out to the city preaching. I'm going to ask him. He's going to have to keep a chart for me of how many minutes.
How many minutes per day?
Oh, if you don't get over 30 minutes a week, I'm going to be very angry with you. He's a nice man, Jim.
I know, Raj. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed.
Okay, 35 minutes a week minimum.
35 minutes a week. Okay.
Okay.
I take the instructions.
But definitely, when you're in the park and you're with them, text me because I figured out my phone, and
Okay, I will, Raj.
I'd like to say hello to him.
We'll find you. We'll find you.
We're going to team up on you. Got to restrict this spontaneous devotional service and do your duties.
Your wife.
Okay, go ahead.
I love there's two things. I really loved what you said at the beginning of class about the loss of nuance. That is such a true thing in today's society. It's either, bump bump and so that really I see that all the time. And the other thing I really loved is I'd forgotten about that with pearls, that the wound the wound is the pearl. And then if we see the world as what is it that God's trying to give to me through that. I really love that
Right.
nuance a
And
lot.
to develop that state of being, that spiritual state of being, that look up, I think it's called, so I researched it, the Gilgo, Gilgo pearl. It's like
Uh,
500 pounds or so. It's ridiculous. It's worth like $30 million or something. It, it's, it was it's, yeah, wow. Okay.
Been
What,
through a lot.
okay. So I'll see you and I'll say hello to Jim sometime. We'll make some
Yes,
time.
well,
I'm going to have my phone and, before it used to just run out, but now because it was always on like the flashlight intensity,
oh yeah,
so it
yeah.
would drain, but now it's okay. So I should be fine. Okay.
We'll find you, Raj.
I got to see my main man, Jim. Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Ramadevi, so nice to
Haribol.
see you.
Nice to see you too, Maharaj. I just had a quick question. There was a verse from a very beautiful song you were singing earlier in the class, and I wasn't sure what the song was called, and I wanted to look it up later. I think
Navanirada Nindita Kanti Param Rasasaga. Is that one?
I think so. It said something. I thought it had something in it, Braja Krishna or
Yeah, that one. Okay,
yeah, that one.
just find Navina, Navina,
Okay.
or Rati, or someone could put in the chat the name of the song. But right now, I give you Navina Nirat Nava. No,
Okay.
it's Nava, Nova, Nava Nirada, Nirad, Nava Nirada Nindita, Nindita. You'll find it. But
Okay.
if someone gets the chat before we finish,
It
Ramadevi,
was so beautiful.
have I ever met you?
I don't think, well, I was saying a few weeks ago, like I met you one time, but I'm sure that you don't remember.
Okay,
We,
Narayani put the song for you where you can get it.
thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Narayani.
Thank you.
Okay, but again, how did you come to this class? Because it's so nice to have you on this class.
Well, I have friends in the class who invited me, and then I had to send an email and like to somebody, like I think like for the
Okay,
admin
but you
meeting.
know people in the Sangha, so you joined
Yes,
it.
yes.
Okay, is that from Wisdom of the Sages or just?
Yeah, a lot of friends in Wisdom of the Sages.
Okay, okay, great. Okay,
Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
I
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Gail, question?
Um, one question, but also I just wanted to say how much I appreciated when you said that, you know, we're all getting the same thing from Krishna. There's no need
Yeah,
to,
it's
you know,
hard. It's really hard, but
because he customizes, just like a parent customizes their parenting, right? Of
yeah. It's complex because there's such horrible suffering sometime, and those are very deep questions. But generally, we can experience in our life and at least understand how looking back, because the whole value of life, the real value is higher consciousness, which means higher happiness. So what brings you to that higher consciousness and higher happiness? A lot of times it's the difficulties. If you respond to them in the appropriate way, it does bring you to a higher level. And once you have that experience, then you can be thankful in your life for even the difficulties and trial. It doesn't mean it won't be suffering, but it won't be despondency.
Yeah, yeah. Maharaj, just one quick thing about geography. So Gopakumar, he had this Braja mood, right? But he was happy to go. His desire was to go to Mathura, right? But that's not that's the larger Mathura, right? That's
No, when they talk about Mathura, they're talking about Vṛndāvana.
Yeah.
That when they say Mathura, they're talking about Vṛndāvana, Krishna's place.
Yeah, the larger Mathura, right?
Yeah, the larger Mathura, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Gail, you gave me a vacation. You haven't stuck the guru like in about a month. Either that or you're losing your game, Gail. You're either advancing to another level where you're just sat.
I'm just giving you a chance to rest up for when I come back.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, I vote.
Oh.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Slal Govinda.
Hey.
Thank you for
Hey,
class.
okay, that was Monday, right? With Bhakti Vinod.
Yeah, it was great. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, see, for him to get away, right, with all he has to do, and get a little kirtan, talk to me, meet you guys. It was great.
Yeah, very sweet.
It was very nice.
Okay, so Braja, I guess I'll see you at Rath Yatra a little bit later, right?
Yes, I'll be at the park.
At what time you think you'll make it?
Well, I have a client in the morning. I'll probably be up there maybe by 12:31.
Oh, all right. You'll get, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. You have a good husband, good maintainer. Put the full pressure on you. Okay. Okay.
I'm very lucky.
Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Good morning. Thank you for class, Maharaj.
Yvette, that was great to see you. You'll get a chance now to watch the rest of the class. It's on.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It was great. Thank you.
Yeah, very important pastime, the Panihati.
Yes.
And I suppose you'll also be at the Rath Yatra with the wisdom of the sages. And
yeah, I'll be at the table, so you can come by, say hi. It'd be nice.
Okay, great.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Okay, anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hey, Jai Shri Radhe. Okay.
Thank you so much for reminding about state of gratitude that's very easy to sleep off in a daily life.
Life is tough, and then you die.
Exactly.
Same, different day. On the material platform, my God. And then you get things like people in the Holocaust, and how do you see God's gift and things like that? It becomes challenging. But those kind of questions come to another level of philosophy, theodicy, reconciling evil with the existence of God in the world. So I think we first have to start on kind of a lower platform, not the highest tragedy, but just the things we go through, which are nothing compared to what people in history and what's going on in Israel and Palestine and Ukraine. These are real people that have to go through these horrible wars. It's just unbelievable. So maybe at least in America that we live, we can at least be grateful, that we had, at least in my whole life. I guess there was the Vietnam War, but I had the student deferment, but we didn't have to go, through what maybe, I hate to say it, what the next generation is going to have to go through. Certainly in America, it's moving economically down, and it's so subtle you can't see it. But people look like they were poor then, right? But they can buy a house. So they can buy a house. The poorest person, you didn't have to be very wealthy to buy a house. Everybody bought a house. Everybody bought a house, that's all. I mean, they worked a little while, then they bought a house. If they're in New York City, they moved to Long Island or Staten Island, or where I grew up, it used to be the garbage dump. So nobody lived there, but then they made this whole development there, and so we moved out there. It was like moving out to the, to the suburbs practically. But it had its charm too. It had a little aspect of being Alabama when they tried to bust people in from other districts. They closed the schools. So, okay. All right. Anybody else say hello? Otherwise, I'm going to start the rest of my
Hare
day.
Krishna Maharaj.
Narayani, Hare Krishna. Good to
Thank
see
you for your email. Good to
Okay.
be in your class. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else? Let me know. Okay.
I emailed that lady you put CC, and then I'll see that I arrange with her. But it looks good from the timing, from the dates. I'm coming.
That would be great. It'd be wonderful. It'd be really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Haribol.